Mariners 4, Twins 11. What is going on with Luis Castillo? We're going to break it all down here, right now. Welcome to the Dom Skiing Channel, your one stop shop for the Mariners storylines on Seattle's minds. Game 30 in the books. Mariners 30 games into the season, but unfortunately can't get to 500 tonight. Fall to 14 and 16. Maybe you can still go 500 by the time May rolls around in a couple days. You just gotta win the next two, and you will. And then the Twins right there with us in the record. Not that that's gonna hopefully be too big of a deal at the end of the year, because the Twins competing for a wild card spot or a spot in the playoffs at all would be extremely unlikely. But getting on to what's going on. Expected batting average not too far apart, right? 235, 285, okay. One's not great, one's pretty solid, but still 5 to 12 on the hits, not quite that stark of a difference. I guess, it is what it is. And then 11 to 4 on the runs, more representative of the way the ball felt like it was falling. It felt like the Twins had a much better batted ball luck tonight. Not, you never want to attribute stuff to luck, but you go out there. I think the team played plenty hard today. I don't think it was an issue with effort or energy. There was some things that went a little bit unlucky, and that's just the way it is. Not that I believe in luck, even. I believe that you get what you deserve, but it's like this is you can do everything right and still not win. And that's why you respect the game, because you don't know what's going to happen. And you can't just because you take good at bat doesn't mean you're getting something out of it. So it means that much more when it does. Because that other team, they're full of major leaguers too. Anyway, Mariners, right? Everybody 1 through 7 in the lineup gets a hard hit. We're going to talk about a little more about the lineup in a bit. But and Cal Raleigh hits that bomb. No doubter. He looks absolutely great. And you see on that thumbnail, I had to put Cal. Because that's really the main story on the Mariners right now. To be happy about is the fact that Cal Raleigh's homered in 5 of 7 games. He's right back to where you want him to be. 707 OPS, 205 average, still, whatever. He's not that far from getting back to his marks of last year. 7 homers through, a month of baseball. We'll see what he ends up with at the end of April. Last year, he ended up with 10, right? And that was getting ahead to get on an insane 60 home run pace. We'll see what he ends up with, but I think another 40 homer season in the book, knock on wood, right, is something that I would never bet against that for Cal Raleigh now. Especially the way that he's playing now. Like, he's just connecting with some of the pitches that he was whiffing on earlier, and those were always kind of home run hacks that he was taking. And he's still taking the same hacks, just connecting a little bit better. Getting on to Luis Castillo, that's the main thing we got to look at. He's throwing that fastball, and I don't want to look too much at this. Don't want to belabor it, but the control is okay. It doesn't feel like he's really challenging the hitters, and the eye test, I think, is a big one for Luis Castillo. You can see when the hitters are just seeing his pitches well and when they're not, and when he's really fearless shoving it past them, and when he's not quite. And in this one, he does throw 11 changeups, which you like to see from Luis Castillo. When he has that changeup on, it's one of the best pitches in all of baseball. And when he doesn't, it's one of the worst. One of the highest, probably the highest variance pitch in all of baseball, that Luis Castillo's changeup. Such a unique pitcher. And, Mariners fans are falling apart right now saying Luis Castillo's lost it. It's the end for him. But I'm going to try to talk, let's step back from the ledge for just a second. Let's not jump off this cliff quite yet of saying Luis Castillo is, done and it's over and he's, quote unquote cooked and all this stuff. Because you look at this start, he doesn't get the whiffs. Seven swinging strikes, right? Just, goes 5 innings, throws 97 pitches. Happens to the best of them. Allows 7 earned runs. That's really where most of the unhappiness. 7 hits and 7 runs and earned runs. But yeah, it's like, and 3 strikeouts to 2 walks, right? You watch this start, and people watching it are like, okay, this is not the Luis Castillo we know and love. This isn't what we want. And honestly, right, he wasn't in the zone that much and still got 31% chase, 47% zone rate. Then the 9 hard hits and 7 hits on 19 batted ball. events or a lot to process. And the four seam and changeup in particular were getting hard, blasted, you could say. But overall, the average exit velocity 88.8. There was some wonky stuff in the movement profiles too. Where 3 inches of horizontal break up on the four seam versus an inch down, 1 inch, 2 inches either way. Okay, we can live with that. 3 inches though on we talked recently about Emerson Hancock having 3 inches less vertical break. It was down from like 14 to 11, and it made a big difference for Emerson Hancock a couple starts ago. Then now we talk about the horizontal break for, and I think that was last Monday actually at Safeco Field where he got blasted a little bit. Then for Luis Castillo tonight, it's the horizontal break that's up from 11 to 14, and maybe that could be just enough to that it was easier to hit. And now we do have to, there's wonky stuff in the movement profiles. Four seam and changeup not working well. The slider and the sinker even right, not getting the getting the swing and miss. None of the pitches really were. None of the pitches had a good whiff rate at all. 20%, 14%, 13%. So when we add all this up, right, I do genuinely think he could have been better if it weren't raining. He is not used to pitching in the rain. He's notoriously bad in cold weather, and today it was raining. The game was almost rained out, and I think the person that got affected the most, I didn't even get to watch the whole game, so I'd say take everything I say with a grain of salt today. Usually I'm watching the entire game. Today was a little bit different. Had some stuff to do, and like I didn't watch every pitch that he threw, but just something about the way that this start looks in the numbers and the data, and what I even did see of him. It's like it felt like the Twins were getting all the batted ball luck, and I hate to, again, I don't believe in luck, but I do believe that batted ball is normalized, and on a certain day where you get the higher end of it or they get the higher end of it, it's not always about what you're optimizing. Sometimes it's just the way the ball falls. That's baseball. None of our three pitchers did well today either, or their three pitchers for that matter. You go to, and I'm going to scroll back up to the box score for just 1 second. Castillo, Wilcox, Hoppy all had some rough outings from the stats perspective, and even Prelip, Morris, and then Taylor Rogers you could count as doing well, but it's 1 inning of work. You can't, you almost can't count that as much. Everybody kind of had pretty poor pitching today in this game in the rain, which usually you would think, oh, the rain, the cold, doesn't that mean that the ball is going to, that it's a more pitching friendly environment? But no, it's actually an anti-pitching environment, which maybe in turn makes it good for hitting, but not right. It's more like it's just bad, so bad for pitching. But I do want to go back to Mick Abel, right, who broke out before he went on the IL, had like 10 strikeouts, no walks, 7 innings pitched in his start before the IL. But his first start in this ballpark was awful in the snow here. And pitchers in general have had a terrible April in this park so far. Everybody who's been pitching in this park has been absolutely terrible in April. At least, especially to begin the year when the weather's been bad, it's been bad signs for anybody in this park. And I know I'm being incredibly defensive of La Piedra, the Rock. I don't want to pretend he wasn't poor or he hasn't been poor so far, but he is a notoriously slow starter too. Because whether it's because of the weather, because of things, he usually bumps up to like 98, 99 in the summer months, 97 at least, even last year, with his fastball and stuff. After being mid 90s in the beginning of the year, he bumps it all the way up in the middle of the year. And I want to give him until at least the end of May. And even for the end of the year, sometimes he finishes the strongest, like at 99 or so. So, he's probably going to get until at least the end of May. I do not think Cade Anderson is coming up right away. I do not think Ryan Sloan is coming up right away. I don't think any of the, or even, Bryce Miller coming back, we'll see, maybe at the middle of this month. And he's been bad, and the pressure's on to pitch his way out of this. Every start is going to be watched with a fine-tooth comb and picked through. And, Luis Castillo is going to have to pitch better than this to keep his job. There's no doubt about it. He's going to have to find a way to get some better results. It's weird because of his pitch mix, right? He's a completely unique starting pitcher. The changeup, very unique in the level of variance that we talked about earlier. Where when it's at its best, it's one of the best pitches in baseball. When it's at its worst, it's one of the worst pitches in baseball. It's a feel thing, and it's super weird. Even with the Reds, it was weird for times. Where he's an all-star and then he's terrible. I mean, so we have seen this before for Luis Castillo. I just am trying to make that clear that this is not something, that we should say, oh no, Luis Castillo, like we've never seen this type of thing happen and him pitch his way out of it, because that's absolutely happened before. He has had to go on the IL and have, I don't know if it's a phantom IL stint or actually there's something wrong, with, he's overcompensating. There's something wrong physically, with his body that's ruining the biomechanics of his pitching. But my unpopular opinion is like, can he come out of the bullpen if he doesn't get better by then? I know people talked about Hancock coming out of the bullpen before this season so much, right? Especially during spring training, you see the velocity up. Oh well, he's better in these 1 to 2 inning roles. Emerson Hancock has got to come out of the bullpen. This is what we, this is what we should see. Like, and yet I haven't heard anything from those people saying, you know what, I said Emerson Hancock should come out of the bullpen, but I was wrong. And I was saying, no, this guy is a starting pitcher. You stretch him out like a starting pitcher. He ended up needing to start the year with the team as a starting pitcher. But I don't think anybody's talking about putting Hancock back in the bullpen at this point. I think everybody sees, like, even if for some reason he were to, not have his spot in the rotation, like they would send him down to Tacoma and keep developing him as a starter because you see the talent that's there. But like Luis Castillo, right? The pitch mix has always been kind of that of a reliever. Like it's 4 seam, a sinker, and a slider, and then this changeup of wild variance. His pitch mix might be awesome out of the bullpen, and he might be everything people, not me, but maybe some other people were saying about Emerson Hancock about, oh, well, in theory, right, don't you have the velocity up if you are pitching less, and, don't the pitches, you're able to just go really hard, like for 1 inning, like that stuff actually sounds legitimately like way more logical and actually logical for Luis Castillo. Whereas for Hancock, I just don't see the logic in that, or I never did. But on the subject of Luis, yeah, I think he might be a really good bullpen option. And this team actually needs a righty who can come out of the bullpen and be nasty and just be nails for like one guy. And I think Luis can do that. I think that's possible. There's the Phantom IL stints in play. There's, there's different stuff in play here. But obviously a high home run to fly ball rate. He gave up how many homers in this one? Was it 2? So high homer to fly ball rate. But all the stats obviously terrible for him. He gives up 7 hits, gives up all these runs and, doesn't strike guys out, walks guys. Did get a high batting average on balls in play. And in 2026, look at this BABIP for Luis Castillo, 374. Is he that easy to see? Is it really that simple, or is this just a little bit of bad luck combined with the stuff not being great to begin the year, as always? I think I'm willing to go towards the latter. But yeah, like, is this guy's days of being a top 30 starting pitcher look to be over? Now, he could come back. He could come back his next start, 11 strikeouts, no walks. And, there's a lot of pitchers in the MLB who have had terrible starts, rebounded with amazing starts. Including Mick Abel after pitching in this park in some bad weather. So I'm not ruling it out for Luis Castillo yet. But, this is where we're at. I'm trying to say that, this Minnesota weather is no joke. It's happened to a lot of pitchers. There's been a lot of pitchers who have had terrible outings here. Every pitcher in this game did. And we'll have to see how the rest of this series goes as well. But, I don't know. If we don't see something by the end of the month, right, if he's going to get a couple more starts, I might have to look exactly which starts those are. Because he gets a couple more starts, and then his spot in the rotation is going to be in jeopardy. If it keeps going like this. But he could be a good bullpen option too. That could be just what the Mariners need. I don't know. I'm always trying to find the actual logical solution, because the team is not just going to give up on a guy they're paying $20 million this year, and I mean, who has the type of talent Luis Castillo is, who's the type of leader that Luis Castillo is. By all measures, he's been, like he's been a great guy in the clubhouse. Everything you hear, so um, yeah, that's kind of the Luis Castillo take. Hopefully, drop a like if you felt like you got something out of that. If not, share your opinion in the comments down below. What do you think of Luis Castillo right now? What are your thoughts on the entire situation? Would love to get the discussion going, and I will try to respond to all the comments that we get. On the other side, you had Connor Prelip, who isn't hitting the zone. I mean, you don't have to be looking at pitch charts every day to know that there's a lot of pitches out of the zone here and pretty far out of the zone. And you actually look at his stats right here. He was barely in the zone either, 45% to Luis's 47, so actually less, and got way less chase, just 22% to Luis's 31. So, but he still got way more swing and miss at 11. So are his pitches that much better of stuff? I mean, or does he just have more of them? I don't know. He did get 6 right on the slider, mainlining that slider, for a 38% whiff rate. Then, I mean, the changeup and the curveball he barely threw, but when he needed to get those whiffs, he got crucial whiffs with those. And that got him to a strikeout per inning. Less bet on ball, less chances. So, 11 batted ball events, 4 hard hits and 1 hit. Still a higher average exit velocity than Luis at 90.6 to his 88.8. But he does have more pitches. So when he needed these stats to be good on any given event, right, any given at bat, they were. And it does feel like a new book in the M's just dropped watching this weekend and then watching here tonight. It's like main the slider, make that your primary, and then they won't hit the 4-seam either anyway. The Mariners are like getting their pitch and not missing. Like they're doing well. I think they're starting to show signs of the 2025 team in terms of the guys that were hot and that approach. Like with Polanco, I think Cole Young is taking up that mantle. Like there is some of that get your pitch, don't miss. Like that, I see the hitting philosophy of last year's team coming back into play, but there's something here that where. There's something that's like teams are able to throw the slider a lot. They're able to throw the changeup a lot. This is the way it felt last year, is that the Mariners were good at hitting fastballs and not great at hitting everything else. And that would be the story here too. The hit that they got off this guy did come off a 4-seam fastball. With the slider, the weak contact is probably even, what's more impressive? The 38% whiff rate or the 86.9 average exit velocity on 6 batted ball events, right? With no hits, just 1 hard hit. That's the stuff that, and then the 4-seam, right? 2 hard hits on 3 batted ball events and 1 hit, 94.1 average exit velocity. The changeup and the sinker, he got the crucial whips when he needed to. These things also got crushed when the Mariners needed to crush him a little bit. Like once you get an greater than 18 pitch inning on him in the 5th, only once you do that do you get anywhere on a guy like this who's just trying to toy with you with the breaking balls and stuff. You got to get a long inning on a guy like that, and then you start to then things start to change, and he starts to have to rely on the pitches that are getting hit hard, that he doesn't want to throw, and then you start to be able to optimize, and then by that 3rd time through the order, which might have just been like 1 batter or something. Let's see, 19 batters. So yeah, it was like that's just 1 at bat. That that 3rd time through the order right there was the 3rd Ref Center at bat. But and obviously it's funny, right? The FIP loved this one because even with not allowing any homers, and allowing a couple fly balls. The FIP loves it, but then, the XFIP is like, okay, well, if you were to allow, 1 homer on some of these fly balls, then that ERA is going to go up basically. With Connor Prelip, he's doing some interesting things. He has some nice pitches, like 4-seam with 16 inches of vertical break and 8 inches of horizontal break. That's something there. And The slider, all this drop, 35 inches of drop, right? There's some interesting stuff. The changeup, and he has a pretty good plan against righties, for a lefty. Um, Quite a few different pitches that he's going to throw. 4 weapons tonight that he used, and then against lefties, definitely shoves as well. But really with the M's lineup, there's some bad luck in here. Rob Ref center, 2 hard hits, just 1 hit, a run and strikeout. That's really the guy that you need to be killing these lefties. But you can't make him, like, when he goes 1 for 4, scores a run, like, that needs to be enough. He can't be forced to score, 5 runs in this game, 7 runs, right, that the Mariners were down by. Cal Raleigh hit the bomb. He's so back. His swing looks so good. So good. I mean, I know, people early in the season want to say, oh, batting average 205, even when it's, you see how hot he's been the last week, they still want to, look at it that way. But, I mean, come on. Cal Raleigh is still one of the best hitters in the game. He's been hitting bombs at will this last week, 5 in his last 7. Would not be surprised if he hits another one before the end of April. And like he's going to drive this lineup. This team's not going to be sitting in the cellar. This team's not going to be massively we might be fighting for the playoffs at the end, but I don't see this team going under 500. Knock on wood. Like, anything can happen. It's baseball. Anything can happen. But I see Cal Raleigh leading this team, and he wants to, like, the thing they always say about him in the clubhouse is, like, the dude wants to win so bad that he doesn't care about the individual accolades. He's such a team guy. Like, I do see this thing coming together. I don't know exactly how it's gonna look, but I'm doing my best to see the positives and see what can happen. Mitch Garver also, shout out to him. He had a hard hit, went 1 for 2, walked twice, didn't strike out. And that right there boosts his average up to 219 on the season, 609 OPS. For a backup catcher who's mostly a defensive guy, works with the pitchers well, calls good games, and a ribby, by the way, for him. Like, that's pretty, you'll definitely take that. And the Twins, had, so 1 through 7 in the lineup, all had hard hits. Still just didn't do great. A total of, how many hits? 5 hits over 12, 20. 5 hits, 25 at bats, so 200 average, right? 5 for 25, all with a hard hit. It's pretty unlucky. Also 5 walks to 4 strikeouts. So that's pretty, you kind of like to see that. There's still a lot of good signs in this game, and I hate to say it because you lose by 7 runs. But then the Twins lineup up and down. Cody Clemens having 5 ribbies, right? You're not going to bet on that happening again. A guy who's batting 194 on the year having 5 ribbies, it's like, all right, is what it is on 2 hits nonetheless. Some of these guys just normalizing in their own stats for the Twins. Tristan Gray's batting 292 with an 840 OPS, right? That's probably not going to continue. Luke Keeschel is, batting 218 with a 551 OPS. So he was like due for a 2 for 4 day, with a double and an RBI and a walk. Like, he was due for that. And then, Trevor Larnach actually has almost identical stat line with a triple instead of a double and a run scored. But the Twins 13 hard hits, 12 hits. The Mariners 8 hard hits, 5 hits. So you can see, Mariners hits were not falling the same way the Twins were. And when you watch Alex Hoppe, comes out the first Mariner ever to strike out the first 3 batters of his major league career, in his debut. Just awesome stuff. He showed some real stuff. Like, Alex Hoppe looks good on the stuff train. But then, when he gets hit hard 3 times because he has to stay out there for 42 pitches, and then everything ends up like falling into the gaps, falling right behind the second baseman, the shortstop, and and right in front of the outfielders. And it's, there is some batted ball in play luck tonight. But at least Alex Hoppe looked good, and Cal hit a bomb. and looks good. And I mean, really, the top of the Mariners lineup the whole way through. They're hitting the ball hard. They're walking. They're not striking out. And so all you can say is tomorrow, let's go 1-0 every pitch. Stay stoic and give all glory to God. Let me know what you think of Luis Castillo's situation down in the comments below and of all these Mariners hitters. And we will be back again tomorrow. And it's time to go time to go 1-0 tomorrow. Go 1-0 tomorrow. You got a chance to win the series on Wednesday, and that would be pretty awesome. Sometimes you're just going to have a bad game like this. You can't, you won 4 in a row before this, so you can't be too mad. That's baseball. And it's going to take 1 through 26 on the roster to do it. I will see you guys actually tomorrow in the about 12 hours from now for my weekly 1-0 podcast with Don Dishes. Going to be looking to get more guests on there soon, but enjoying having Don on every Tuesday just to discuss stuff. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Go Ems.